Well, hey cubs, it's Lynxy, and welcome to a very special video. So this is actually about me editing an entire Warrior Cats episode. Now, this is a long process that will actually be sped up now and then for you, but I figured since you want to know exactly why does it take so long for me to make an episode, I will show you. What is the entire process that we're doing here? This is Sony Vegas Pro 16. It's what I normally use to edit any video. It doesn't matter if it's like any gameplay video, any song video, everything. So it is a very wonderful program. It does cost a lot of money. I would suggest that you go ahead and buy it on the Humble Bundle sales that happen now and then. I would suggest you waiting for that because it's about $50, or you can just pirate it, but don't do that because that's illegal. So this right here is your project media. You can go ahead and look at upload basically anything into here to start editing. Over here is basically where your timeline, where you're going to do everything. Your audio thing, I never really pay too much attention to the master bus. The video preview is probably my best friend and everything. You also have transitions that it automatically loads into, so you can like change scenes. I don't particularly use these. I normally just use like a gradient or something like that to just kind of fade in and out. I don't really do anything else for my transitions unless it's super necessary, but sharp cuts and fade ins and outs are usually what I use. For video effects, you've got a whole bunch. Just go ahead and have fun looking at them. You don't know what each one does? Well, that's why you go and you test them. Over here is where we have our audio laid out. So this is actually pre-recorded. This is me saying any certain lines that I need to for the episode. And you've got your second audio one here. That's normally because when you record, it'll create an audio file and a video file and normally put them together, depending on how your settings are in OBS. And then you'll have your video settings here as well, or I mean your video timeline here as well. So that's kind of why I like Vegas, because it just sets it out very nicely. I've used other programs, and I'm not very fond of them. Windows Movie Maker is what I used to use way back. And learning Vegas Pro was a little bit difficult, but it's something I would prefer using and learning. I don't know everything, obviously, but it's just what we use. So what we have here is actually three different videos. This one here, which we are going to insert another audio track, is actually just, it looks like foreground or whatever. I'm clearly just taking a nice video and seeing what is happening here. So we can see just in this area, I don't really like how dark this all is to me. It's not really bright enough. And if I look over it in here, it's not very pretty. Everything's just kind of there. There is no lighting. There is nothing. It's kind of dark, a little too dark. I'm going to go ahead and I see I have already something here called Warriors. So it looks like it's how I lit up everything before. And this is your brightness and contrast. So, you know, we could just brighten it, make it absolutely bright as all heck. Your contrast, which doesn't really give us anything here. And your center of your contrast. So if you want to focus on everything or on just a specific area, whatever, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and just, well, I'm going to get rid of this one. And then you can also see the differences. So you've got it like this, or you got it like this. I kind of like this better, maybe with a little bit less, a little bit more contrast, but a tad bit brighter. So we can see what it looks like. Now we've got colors and everything. That is awesome. If you'd like to add way more colors, there is a color corrector, or you can use something else to go ahead and help balance out those colors a little bit more. So maybe I wanted way more blue tones. Well, there we go. Now it's super blue. You can tell even here that just because we've added less than 1 point here into the blue, it creates quite a bit of difference. So I think we're going to use that. We're going to use this color balance of the blue. I don't know if we're going to go that strong. Maybe 37. So I will just, yeah, there we go. I really like how this looks better. In order to delete something, you could just click on it and then you'll just remove selected plugin. There we go. And that's what these are, plugins. They can also be animated basically to go off at a certain time or whatever. I don't normally go through this process very often, but it is helpful. So now the scene looks a little bit more blue. It looks a little bit more well adjusted. And when you cut your footage, you can change it up however you want. So maybe I don't want it to be this blue here. Okay, well, I won't do that then. Now it's a little bit more gray. And over here, maybe I want this particular scene here to be super, super, super blue. So I can just go back to the color balance, make it super blue there. Wow. And then over here, just keep it normal. And this is just for that opening scene as well as other scenes. So it's good to figure out why you have certain things. Also the fact that if you delete something and they're normally put together, you will delete them both. So you're going to have to go into your groups and remove from, and now these can be separated. Boop, and there we go. Because we don't need this audio file here right now. This is actually an hour long, an hour and a half long, and this is just me messing around in The Sims, actually trying to do all of the parts. You can see where I've got a little bit of bloopers here, where I've went back into the Create a Sim, there we go. And then I've got the gameplay after that, which is like another hour. As you can tell, there's an hour long episode might not be the best idea for what I'm trying to do here. That's fine though, we can just go and fix this. First we are going to go back and do our brightness and contrast, so that way I can lighten this up a little bit. And now I've got to go through the grueling process of figuring out where everything is. If my audio ever sounds a little bit odd or something, and there might be a reason for that, it could be because I'm actually recording my voiceover genuinely, and then I'm going to be splitting it from the program, so that way the audio still remains, but the footage is actually sped up. And also, when I do record on OBS, I actually do not, I mute my mic, so that way I can, for Warriors specifically anyway, I mute my mic so that way my voice isn't part of the whole thing. I pre-record the lines and then I go from there. Instead of like Siri, who seems to record and do the voice at the same time, which I can't find myself, like I can't bring myself to do that. It takes a little too long for me. I think what I'm gonna do is show you guys all of the footage that I've had, like it really sped up so you can see what all of the footage look like, and then you're gonna see me editing it, which is what you're listening to right now. What I was going to do is have like that scene in The Lion King where you can see Nala getting ready to pounce on Pumbaa. And you know, she's like there in the fronds of the grass, and like you could just barely make out that she's there. I really wanted that, but I don't think I had the right pose and without it looking a little odd. So we're going to stop that right there. We're still going to save that footage though, because you never know what can come in handy. For Sneakstar yelling at Cheetah Fang, that took about 2 full hours of recording, maybe a little bit more than that, of setting up the cats in the scene and everything, which you guys will probably be able to see what I'm doing when you see the footage that's going by quickly, the sped up footage. So you can see where I've done absolutely everything. Over here, we're getting like a kind of a glimpse of it, but it's a little harder to see, and you can tell that I actually went to create a sim. I think it's because I realized that Cheetah Fang's scar is still super bloody, and it's a little time has passed, not too much time obviously, but a little time has passed, so we can't have that scar still being like acting as if it's super fresh, like Sneakstar had just given it to him. We don't need that. I've also looked into doing a couple of little cheats here just to see if I can get rid of this little tag that's apparently up there. That normally does happen, and that's probably the most annoying part when recording. Editing a video about editing is probably going to be the most interesting thing I've done. I've never done so. I've never really shown you guys behind the scenes as to why certain things are the way they are for me. Why did I edit something like this? How did I edit something like this? And I get those questions a lot actually on how do you make a video? How does this video work? Whatever. And I'm always kind of like, you look up YouTube videos. And I don't think they're ever super like in your face and showing you. So it looks like, okay, this is where Cheetah Fang is like in the frame, and I was like, I don't really want him to be in the frame. So I wanted Hugpaw to look like he didn't know who was around. So with Cheetah Fang like pawing at him like that or whatever, it's a little obvious that Hawkpaw doesn't really seem to care. He's just right there in his face. Of course he knows who's attacking him. You know who's attacking him. Let's see. Alright, it's about in that frame here. We can get rid of all this. And I like the pounce animation, by the way. It's a lot better than the fight animation because the fight ones have all the smoke and the cat's moving around everywhere. I just kind of like something like the pouncing one where it seems very mean and rude. There we go. And you can see them. Now they're rolling on the floor. They're tussling and everything's crazy. You don't know what's happening. And I think I pause it here. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the biggest roadblock, at least for when I'm recording Sims 3 Warriors, is trying to make the fight scenes look good, because otherwise it's just the cats in the cloud of dust and they're getting thrown around everywhere, which is not good. I really wish I could make my own animations, which I can, but I don't know how to do the program yet without breaking the entire game. I like that. I like that as I take a lot of screenshots while I'm editing as well, just to go ahead and get a good idea for certain things, like maybe what I want for a thumbnail. Multiple angles in a shot will help out, make it seem a little better. Sometimes a close-up angle is not exactly what you want. A close-up shot, maybe you want something a little bit further away, which looks like is what I was looking for here. Another thing, and also making sure the other cats are not dying, because if they get really sick or something, the animal services will come and take them. So I use the pose player to actually have a pose that looks like the cat is kind of like, you know, just laying down. I think in the actual pose it's just the cat resting, but to me it looks like the cat is dead or injured. So I was like, oh, we can use poses like this for when cats actually do die or whatever, and we recover their bodies. A little crazy sounding, but that's exactly what I wanted. In this scene here is where Hawkpaw is like upset because he wasn't able to really fight off Cheetah Fang very well, and he knows that Cheetah Fang's upset at him, and he's kind of crying because, oh my gosh, I tore my claws. He's actually gotten 2 of his claws have been torn out of his paw, which really hurts. Hawkpaw has been Cheetah Fang's mentor for a while, apprentice for a little while now, a little bit longer than is normal, and that's just because Cheetah Fang's very rough in his training, and he's like, I'm not training any babies, I'm not training any kits here to be warriors, I'm training apprentices. You need to act like an apprentice, you need to act like a warrior. You're gonna get hurt, and you can't just run off and be scared and be sad about it. You need to go and do things. And I kind of like that idea, that he's just not trying to baby Hawkpaw. Like Brambleberry kind of took, as soon as Hawkpaw fell in the water and the pond, obviously he was gonna get sick, maybe hypothermia, because it's still spring. It's still new leaf for them, so the air is still a bit chilly. There's a little nip in the air, and so him being absolutely drenched in water is not good for him. So Brambleberry was like, oh my gosh, he needs to get out of the water, he needs to go home, he's gonna get sick. So, at least in the Reef Clan episode, that's where you can see that. And Cheetah Fang was kind of like not happy about it, but whatever. He just figured that, okay, whatever, Brambleberry's right, I guess. Or was it Blackglow? I think it was Brambleberry, though. Yeah, Brambleberry was the one who was there. She's very motherly. We've got that little bit of a scene here, and so, what was I saying? Oh yes, that Brambleberry kind of helped protect Hawkpaw, because she knows that Cheetah Fang is a little rough with his apprentices, since she is friends with Blackglow, and Blackglow, I believe, was Cheetah Fang's apprentice before, so she's kind of seen what he can do. And she knows it's like, okay, well, you know, someone's got to kind of stand up to him a little bit. And it seems like she's not afraid to be that kind of cat. So we've got a little bit of footage here. We've cut off quite a bit, actually, if we compare this. Let's see. That's this one. So you can see that we've actually already cut up about... Ooh, there we go. How much is this? About 25 minutes? Yeah, about 21 minutes off of the footage already. So isn't that awesome? And this is the hour-long process, I think, maybe 2-3 hours. It depends on how much footage there is. Like I said, this scene is not very intense. Certain scenes are, such as Snake Star yelling and trying to and scratching Cheetah Fang. That's a far more intensive scene, just because she's lunged at him, which I was gonna do like pictures, but I was like, that's not, it doesn't look very nice. So I went with another route and just kind of showed him already having the scar, I think. But when I wanted her to fight him and pin him to the ground, that was actually going to be poses. But it didn't look very natural, so I didn't like that. So instead, I just had her, I had lots of cuts, I think, cutting away and things like that. I think in Snake Stars, I had her we had a close-up on her eye, her singular eye, or her mouth. We've done the same thing with Cheetah Fang, where he looks like he's just very stoic. He's actually in a pose. He's not even breathing, I think. But I think that looked a little too rigid, so I made him stand. I can't recall. But I changed the script do little tweaks and like that. So if instead of me enjoying the scene in the night, like they're doing a night trip here, a night training session, then I could be like, well, the sun is just peeking out or whatever. That's kind of why I do the video stuff first, and then we figure out what scene I like, what I want to keep. So someone might be wondering, well, how did you know that you wanted this specific way, or it to look like this, or what animation does what? And it's just a lot of testing. When he's looking around wildly, he's either in the skittish animation, or in the look around animation. And you can access these yourself normally. You just need like NROS Animator, I think, which isn't hard to install. I should do another video about how to install mods too, which I cannot answer all of those questions, because it's like, you know, it's something that you can easily look up, be like, okay, what is this? But I understand maybe you don't know the question to ask. Now, what I want to see though is Siri will often, I think she actually changes her territories. And that's like, okay, that's awesome. That looks great, because she's taking out certain plants and then she puts like a snowier terrain on the ground and everything. I have made about 5 territories, like 5 different hunting grounds or whatever for each clan. So I can't go through each and every one and put a snowy ground on each and every one. That'll take far too much time, and then taking out plants and putting them back in, because I don't remember exactly what each plant is in there. So they'll always look a little different if I do that. I'm trying not to have me changing the camera be in a shot, because it looks a little funky. The only time it doesn't is whenever we're actually in... What are we doing? We are in that scene in the preview where you can hear the dogs barking, or really it's wolves. We can hear the wolf barking, and you see Snake Star running at Lynx, who is bolting out. So Lynx is running, Snake Star is right behind her, kind of chasing her out of the territory, and you can hear the wolf barking, and you can see me flip from Snake Star to Iris Fang, who, that is the cat that was in there, by the way, Iris Fang. You do hear her voice. But a lot of people, I think, confuse that for Snake Star, and a lot of people also didn't notice that it were 3 voices that I did there. It was Lynx, like a baby Lynx, Snake Star, and Iris Fang. Iris Fang is the more gravelly voice, who's like, may your soul forever rest in the dark forest, or whatever she says. I can't quite remember. It was really edgy, but so that is actually Iris Fang's voice, which I just instead changed and traded up to be Snake Star's, because it seemed like everyone felt like that would be a better voice for her. So I think that's definitely the voice I used in the next following episodes whenever Sneak Star is there. But if anybody knows somebody who does animations for The Sims 3, like who does mods for them, do you think you can put me in contact with them? Because I would really love to commission someone and see if they can do that for me. Because, oh boy, it takes a lot of time. Alrighty, and there we go. We now have all of the footage that we are going to need for the beginning clip, which I will cover in the next video.